Hello everyone, today we are going to discuss about brachial plexus. So first let us understand what does this brachial plexus mean. Brachial is a term that is referring something regarding the upper limb, and plexus is something, a group of neurons or interconnected nerves. So usually any plexus we can say in terms of roots, trunks, divisions, cords and their branches. So the brachial plexus, what are the roots? So the roots are the anterior primary rami of C5, C8 and T1. Sometimes there may be a prefixed type or the postfixed type. The prefixed is the C4 and postfixed is T2, which means along with these roots, C4 is also added, or else T2 is also added. There is never C4 to T2 pattern found. So then the trunks, when some of the roots join together, they form something called trunks. Let's see what are they in the brachial plexus. The C5 and C6 together forms the upper trunk, and C7 alone forms the middle trunk, and C8 and T1 together forms the lower trunk. And these are the branches from the roots themselves, which we'll discuss a little later. Now, these trunks are further divided into some divisions. They are the ventral and dorsal divisions of each of the trunks. Let us focus on the cords. The upper trunk's ventral division and middle trunk's ventral division together form the lateral cord. The lower trunk's ventral division alone forms the posterior cord, and the medial cord is formed by all the three dorsal trunks. Let us revise it once again. The upper trunk's ventral division forms the lateral cord along with the medial trunk's ventral division. The lower trunk's ventral division alone forms the posterior cord. All the three dorsal divisions form the medial cord. Now moving on to the branches. This is a mnemonic that is famous for the branches of brachial plexus. The lateral cord has the branches named as L, M and L. Medial cord has 4 M's U, and the posterior cord has the mnemonic ULNAR, ulnar, but we have to concentrate on the fact that the posterior cord doesn't have any relation with the ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve is a branch of the medial cord, but the mnemonic goes as ulnar for the posterior cord. Let us see what are those mnemonics stand for. The first L, M and L. Here we go. The first L is for the lateral pectoral nerve. The roots are C5 and C7. As we see there, the C5 and the C7 comes here because of the ventral division of the upper and the middle trunks to form the lateral cord. So we have C5 and C7 for the lateral pectoral nerve, and M for musculocutaneous nerve, which is the C5 to C7, and the other L stands for the lateral root of median nerve, which again has the root value C5 to C7. Now the medial cord has the 4 M's U. So the first M stands for the medial pectoral nerve, which is C8 to T1. Next is the medial cutaneous nerve of arm, C8 to T1. Then the other is the medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, C8 to T1. Medial root of median nerve is C8 to T1. And now comes the ulnar nerve, which has an extra root, that is C7. How does this come is because of the communicating branch that is located here, which comes from the lateral cord to the ulnar nerve. This gives the C7 root for the ulnar nerve. So now ulnar nerve has C7, C8 and T1. And then now moving on to the posterior cord, we have the following branches named as ulnar. As we saw before, ULNAR. Here we have the U, which is the upper subscapular, which has a root value C5, C6. L for lower subscapular, C5, C6. N comes for nerve to latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi is one of the muscles of the back. So we have C6, C7, C8. Axillary nerve is nerve that is supplying the deltoid and the skin over the deltoid. So we have C5 to C6. The radial nerve is the last nerve of this, and we have all the branches, all the root values from all the roots of the brachial plexus. So now we have some other branches as well. Those arise from the trunks of the roots of the brachial plexus. So the first one that is here represented here is the root of phrenic nerve. C4 is the major root of phrenic nerve, but C5 also gives a twig to the phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve root is here, which is a nerve to the diaphragm. Diaphragm helps in the respiration, that is breathing mechanisms. So this is an important root for the phrenic nerve. And then we have the nerve to rhomboides. Rhomboides, major and minor. There are two muscles like in the name of rhomboides. Those are located in the back of the body, that is back. And then we have the long thoracic nerve, or the nerve of Bell, or also called nerve to serratus anterior. This nerve supplies the serratus anterior. We get the roots from C5, C6, C7 directly from the trunks. And then we have the other nerve here, which is the nerve to longus colli and the scaleni muscles. These are the muscles of the neck. C5, C6, C7, C8. These supply the muscles of the neck. And then we have two other branches from the trunk. That is, from these trunks we have two other nerves. Suprascapular, which arise from the upper trunk. Suprascapular. And then we have the nerve to subclavius, which is also from the upper trunk. Nerve to subclavius. Both of these get the root value C5, C6. And the nerve to subclavius is also known as the important nerve supplying an unimportant muscle, because it also gives a twig for the phrenic nerve, which we saw here. A quick distribution pattern of these nerves: lateral pectoral nerve and the medial pectoral nerve. Supply the pectoralis major and the minor muscles. Musculocutaneous nerve supplies the coracobrachialis muscle, and then the biceps brachii, and also runs cutaneous after that. Medial lateral root of median nerve and the medial root of median nerve together join to form the median nerve, which is important for the intrinsic muscles of the hand and some other flexors of the forearm. And then we have the ulnar nerve, which is important for the intrinsic muscles of hand as well as some of the muscles in the forearm. Then medial cutaneous nerve of forearm and the arm, as the name suggests, they supply the medial parts of the forearm and the arm. And then we have the upper subscapular nerve and the lower subscapular nerve, which supplies the muscles around the scapula. The nerve to latissimus dorsi, as the name suggests, supplies the latissimus dorsi itself. Axillary nerve supplies the deltoid and the skin over the deltoid. Radial nerve again supplies many of the muscles of the back of the arm as well as back of forearm. Let's move on to the clinical anatomy cases. There are two important situations with regard to the brachial plexus injury. First is the Erb's paralysis. First, the site of injury is the Erb's point. This is the point where 6 nerves meet. That is 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. This particular area is the Erb's point. Now, how can these injuries happen? First, cause maybe birth injury. While the baby is being born or delivered, there may be injuries happening to the shoulder which may cause the Erb's paralysis, and also fall on the shoulder, or sometimes an anesthesia given at this junction may cause an injury to the nerves. The roots involved are C5 and C6. As we saw there, C5 and C6 are the roots involved in the Erb's point. And then we have the paralysis of these muscles: biceps brachii, deltoid, brachialis, brachioradialis, supinator, infraspinatus and supraspinatus. These are the muscles of the upper limb. So these muscles are supplied by the C5, C6 roots. So they are injured or paralyzed by this Erb's paralysis. And also we have to know what is the position of arm or the position of the upper limb after Erb's paralysis. Arm will be kept in the normal position but adducted and medially rotated, and the forearm will show extension and pronation. This is actually like a waiter's tip hand. You might refer to your books for the waiter's tip hand pictures. It's also called policeman's tip hand, where they try the people try to hide the tip that they get from the other people. So it's arm adducted and medially rotated, and forearm extended and pronated. The other situation is the Klumpke's paralysis. Here the site of lesion is at the lower trunk. Lower trunk is here. And then the causes may be undue abduction of the birth injury. Undue abduction may happen in children when somebody pulls the hands upwards without noticing the position of hand, or then maybe at the birth again, like the previous situation. Roots involved here are the T1 and C8, because these two involve the lower trunk. And then the muscles involved in the paralysis here are the intrinsic muscles of hand and the ulnar flexors of the wrist and fingers. Now the deformity here is called the claw hand. Why claw hand? Because the ulnar flexors are paralyzed. So the extensors pull the hands backward, or they pull the wrist at the wrist joint, they pull the hand backwards and cause hyperextension of metacarpophalangeal joints and flexion at the interphalangeal joints. This causes the claw hand formation. And also there is something called Horner syndrome. When the T1 root is injured proximal to the white rami communicans, which carries the sympathetic nerve fibers from the spinal cord to the thoracic ganglia, when they are injured, we get ptosis, meiosis, anhidrosis and ciliospinal reflex loss. These things occur because of the loss of sympathetic supply for the head and neck. T1 is one of the important sympathetic supply that goes for the head and neck. Hope this video helped you in understanding the brachial plexus, the roots, trunks, division cords and the branches of the brachial plexus, and the clinical anatomy related to this. So subscribe our channel for more videos regarding the medical study. Hope we make your medicine palatable. Thank you.